Hello, people.
Um,
So I'm
yeah,
Chris.
John.
So as you can probably see by the title of this live stream, this is a retrospective on the Kingdom Hearts series. It'll probably be a mini-series that we're doing for a little while, called Retrospective of our favorite game franchises.
Yeah, I managed to do something.
Gameplay. In case you're wondering, I'm actually kind of sunburned. I was in a pool.
In case you're wondering, I'm actually just really exhausted.
Yeah. So where do you think we should start off? In terms of, like, maybe like a precursor, not just going straight in the deep end?
Fuck it. The best way to go is just jump in the deep end.
Which is ironically a theme song from Kingdom Hearts, and it's probably the best boss theme from the
God
first
damn it,
game.
Chris, stop this.
Look, I'm sorry, but it's a great boss theme. So everybody, we're gonna go in chronological order of release. But
Yeah.
if there is a deluxe version of a game, we'll talk about it, or at least we'll start with the original, and then we'll probably give our opinions about the most deluxe version possible. So, Kingdom Hearts 1. John doesn't have much experience with it. It's my favorite game in the franchise.
Um, are we gonna go into the story or no?
Synopsis, I guess.
Okay. Synopsis. Fuck all happens on the island, and all of a sudden the island gets fucked up.
Riku
And
goes to Darkness and Sora gets to Keyblade. Oh wait, it's probably hell. Okay, there's three kids in this island. Their names are Sora, Riku, Kairi. They're the main characters, and then all of a sudden, yeah, like Riku's like, "Oh, we gotta leave this island." And Sora's like, "Okay," and then they build a raft, which really wouldn't sustain human life. I don't see how they're planning on doing this, but whatever.
one slug funeral later.
So yeah, and then Darkness takes the world. Riku goes to Darkness. Sora goes to Light. He finds himself in Traverse Town. They find Disney characters, and they go, "Oh, Ansem's this guy that's weird. We gotta kill him with Maleficent." So then they go around the journey of the world to find King Mickey and Riku because Donald and Goofy are like, "Yeah." So then after they do all that, they get to Hollow Bastion, and they find out that Riku's like super evil. And they take down Riku, but Ansem's really possessing Riku, but then they kill Ansem later on.
Okay. So now that that's all out of the way, chain of memories.
Well, no, oh, I thought we were gonna give our opinions on the games, too.
Look, keep in mind, I don't have a lot of experience, and you gave your opinion of the game early on.
Okay, well, to go a bit more in depth then, I think the graphics are great for a PS2 game. The story wasn't super contrived. The gameplay was really fun, and it seemed a good balance between RPG and platformer, and you didn't just mash this button to win. Good difficulty, progression. It's really good. It's my favorite game. And then they made Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, which added like a secret boss or two, added a whole bunch of new enemies, made the game better.
Okay, now chain of memories.
Yeah, John, I guess you'll take your turn for this one.
All right. Guess so, guys. Chain of memories. It's my favorite story in the game, but it's my least favorite gameplay mechanic until Coded happened, and we're
Corey
gonna
has
get
the same gameplay mechanics as Birth by Sleep.
now. Now this is important, guys.
Cards.
Yes. So what happens is that Sora ends up finding this castle, all of a sudden, just out of the middle of nowhere.
Just
I don't
like
know.
at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, they're running through a field, and then Sora's on the field, and then he's like, "This guy's weird in a black coat," and then they go in a castle, and then John can explain from there.
Hey. Shh.
I was gonna say you can explain from there.
Chris, it's okay. It's okay, Chris. It's okay. You can shh.
Thank you.
Okay. So then, this weird guy, also named Marluxia, but you don't know that until later. Shh, you didn't hear that from me.
Just that guy with the black hood.
Just that guy with the black hood. His name is he's a metrosexual actually, but that's beside the point as well.
Yes.
He all of a sudden just takes all of Sora's memories and just turns them into a card, and it's just like, hey, guess what? I'm gonna give you these cards so that you can progress through the worlds. So you progress through the worlds that you went through in Kingdom Hearts 1, and
Minus Tarzan because they lost copyright.
well, yeah, but that's also because Tarzan's stupid.
Yeah, that world was the least favorite.
And what happens is that Sora's just like, I'm gonna keep climbing the stairs while looking for this girl named Namine. I don't know that I knew a girl named Namine until later, but they know a girl named Namine, I guess.
Oh man, who's this Kyrie girl? I don't remember her. This
Yeah.
whole time, Namine's getting rid of his memories, by the way.
And I'm gonna keep climbing up this staircase. Oh wait, that guy said in this place you're supposed to lose what you find and find what you lose. Whatever. That can't mean anything ominous whatsoever. And as you
I
run up
like
the
how it's so quickly, though. It's like second floor, you already forget all the Disney characters.
oh, hey, look, I just went through that. I just went through Traverse Town. Who are the people in there? Hmm.
That must not have been important.
And then it just turns out that Zora is just like, oh, hey, look, it's Nominee, and I'm on Destiny Island again, and oh, hey, look, you're not actually Nominee, you're a replication. Oh, hey, look, Nominee doesn't belong here. Who's this Kyrie chick? Oh, hey, look, I guess Kyrie's my love interest. And then you end up having to go fight all the organization members, and I'm doing this way out of order, but, fight
Well,
all
you
the...
don't know that they're organization members at that point.
Shh, they don't know that now.
There's only like 5 of them in that game.
But then there's this one cool guy named Axel who's just like, I'm going to be a badass and survive all these beatings.
He
Oh,
wants
the
us
others
to get it memorized.
I think there were more than 5, actually. I think there were 6.
Oh yeah, because 5 died, 6 were there.
Yes. And then Axel's just like, yeah, I'm not going to die here. Bye, guys.
Apparently in the GBA version he actually died, but then due to fan requests and like so much pleading, they actually shoehorned him into the second Kingdom Hearts.
All right. So my opinion on that. My opinion on this altogether, the card battle system, meh, takes a while to get used to, but ultimately...
If you know how to play it, it's so sad. Deck full of 9s, anyone?
Yeah, and then you go against 0, and then you get hit by a 0, and it's just like shit.
Well, the thing about the deck system is there's cards 0 through 9. 0 is one of those cards that can break if something goes after it, but if you use it after any card, it'll always break through. But with, yeah, like, obviously, the higher the card value, the better it is. So you could try, and there are ways, like, you get enemy cards. Like, one of them is, if you play a card, say a 6, normally if someone plays an 8 card after you play the 6 card, you will lose your attack. But there's an attack card from one of the Heartless that makes it so that, by the way, those are the name of the enemies, that makes it so that even if you play a 6 and the enemy has an 8, it won't let it break through. So a lot of times people will use like lower level card decks to save room for more cards, and slights, which are these like 3 combo card packs where you can do special attacks. And there's a lot of them, like some of the best attacks in the game require you to only have 6 in terms of value. So they'll have like some minimalist runs and stuff like that. It's admittedly pretty fun, but I'm more the guy who just goes with, I'm going to take a full deck of 9s, 8s, and 7s into the final boss fight and just wing it.
And then Marluxia throws all your cards in your deck away, and it's just like, well, fuck
And then
you.
you just go dodge roll, dodge roll, dodge roll.
Yeah, dude, he's like, dodge roll to get it back, dodge roll to get it back, shit. Or better yet, when he covers up all your cards, it's just like, huh.
Yeah. And then there's Riku mode, which is admittedly pretty fun.
Riku mode I hadn't actually played a lot of.
Riku's mode, it's literally just, oh no, Ansem's back, and I get to use the darkness, and it's actually pretty fun to use D mode.
Yeah, whatever.
On to the one that John's favorite, Kingdom Hearts 2. And consequently, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix.
The reason it's my favorite, first off, and I know this is completely and utterly unfair, I felt like it had better graphics than the first game.
It depends. I think it depends on where it is in the game.
I think the Hollow Bastion in this game looked better than the Hollow Bastion in the first game.
I like Hollow Bastion in the first game better because of the environment, but graphically it does.
Well, I didn't ask you.
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts 2, it definitely looks better. It got a big polish on it, and it's definitely a longer game.
Yep, it seems a little more thought out than Kingdom Hearts 1 until you get towards the end of the game, I'll admit that, where it's just like, hey, by the way, guess what? Kingdom Hearts wasn't actually what you were trying to open before. Kingdom Hearts is actually this giant moon. Oh, hey, look, you blew up my moon by something that turned all the hearts into data. I'm gonna fly into the broken moon now and become God.
Yeah, the thing about Kingdom Hearts 2, which by
the way, spoiler warning, we should have put that in the beginning of the video.
Either way, there's definitely spoilers, as you already know. But, thing is that I have massive nostalgia goggles for Kingdom Hearts 1, and he has massive nostalgia goggles for Kingdom Hearts 2. The thing, though, is that I played more Kingdom Hearts 2 as a kid than I did Kingdom Hearts 1. But when I went back to 1 a few years ago, I'm like, I think this is ultimately the better game. But Kingdom Hearts 2, I definitely liked it. It's definitely really good. It was a really long game, which was good to keep the progression going. It had a lot of side quests, and a lot of things that you could do. Level up your drive forms, which were a neat addition to the game, which would let you add a lot of variety in battle styles. There was a lot more variety in your characters who could join you. There were a lot more limit moves, which were a whole bunch of quick time events and stuff like that, which were really fun. The villains were a lot more. They were fun to battle in this one.
And then there was Barbarossa, by the way. Let's not forget
Oh yeah,
that.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Ooh, ooh. But I think the biggest problem of where Kingdom Hearts 2 shines and falls at the same time is Organization 13. They're very hit or miss. I like the idea of the Organization 13. I like some of their members. The problem is that I think the Organization 13 is sort of where Kingdom Hearts got a bit too complicated. Like
Well,
that's when the storyline started getting hard to understand.
I don't know if that's really where it became hard to understand. I think it became hard to understand when Ansem himself just in the not Dream Drop Distance. Well, Dream Drop Distance kind of made the entire thing convoluted, but you know.
Yeah.
But when it was like Ansem's just like, oh, by the way, guess what? I'm this old bald man, and I'm gonna just destroy the entire everything.
Thing. It seemed like it went a bit too in-depth because Kingdom Hearts is a mix between Final Fantasy and Disney. So it was marketed towards kids for a decent amount. It was supposed to bring both fans together. So for the kids who got it, like me, I didn't understand half of what was going on. And even now that I do understand it, it's sort of hard to explain it to someone who's just getting into it, which
Hard to
is kind of a
explain.
bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because it means, yeah, you've got a complex story, but at the same time, it's sort of... I think it went too far into being ridiculously complex and metaphorical, like how every single room in the final world is like, Elegy of Emptiness, Corridor of Darkness.
I don't think Corridor of Darkness is that hard to understand.
Either way, it's just going into a whole bunch of... Zemnis, power over nothingness.
I don't know if that's the best power or the worst power ever.
We'll talk about that later, but yeah. 13 members of the organization, as we said, in Chain of Memories, you kill 2 of them. You can kill them all, basically. You just do it. Riku gets good again, so that's nice. So...
Yeah, oh yeah, also we forgot a major plot point of the end of Chain of Memories. Apparently Riku takes the form of Ansem.
No, that actually takes place in Days. In Chain of Memories, he just
Oh
keeps...
yeah, right. Well, you know what I mean. Takes place between the 2 games.
Yeah,
Right.
the thing is that Kingdom Hearts Days and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories all took place in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. But the thing, though, is that Days came out after Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh yes,
Meaning that
we have
you have
coding.
no clue why Riku looks like Ansem, because they didn't even hint to that in Chain of Memories.
Yeah, just okay. When did you become Ansem? I don't know.
And yeah, I do think the overall the voice acting quality of Kingdom Hearts 2 was great. The presentation value was great. I just feel that it also turned into sort of a button masher. Like magic was barely viable in that game unless you were playing on like the hardest difficulties. But like for the most part, you could still just mash the X button and win.
Do I mean the triangle button?
Or the triangle button, the reaction commands, oh god, they're even more mandatory. But like, the only times that magic is really even used other than cure is against some of the secret bosses at the end of the game, because they're all elemental.
And then we get to the final mix version.
Okay, yeah, Final Mix. Yeah, Final Mix, okay, I'm a bit biased, but I'm thinking when Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix comes out, it's gonna be my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. But as of right now, just being able to play the American version, it's Kingdom Hearts 1 is still my favorite, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix added a lot. It added a new drive form, which called back to Kingdom Hearts 1. It added 12 new secret bosses, no, 13 new secret bosses. And then it also added a lot new abilities, and it just made the game better.
We also added mushroom challenges, which are kind of weird.
Oh yeah, main character of Kingdom Hearts 2, we forgot to mention Roxas is pretty important. He's a guy. They also explain the fact that there's not only Heartless, but there's Nobodies, so when someone dies, they get a Heartless and a Nobody. That's what the Organization 13 are.
Okay, well, not always a nobody. It's if the shell of the body becomes strong enough to maintain its own will, it becomes an organization member. If it's weak, it becomes a nobody, and if it's kind of destroyed, it doesn't become anything.
Yeah, well, we're not going to spoil anything, but in Kingdom Hearts 2, they say that the organization is just trying to make it so that they can become human again, which honestly reminds me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist and the Homunculi.
Yeah, and then we have Dream Drop Distance happen, but that's
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's later on. What came? Days came next, right?
Days came next. Days is amongst one of my favorite games, more for the story than anything.
Yeah,
I like
definitely the story.
they had a great story, but the gameplay mechanics were fine for me.
The problem for me wasn't that there was anything wrong with it. The problem was that it just left me with a taste of meh.
Eh, left me with a taste of meh, but if a taste of meh is something I can get over.
I mean, because Kingdom Hearts up to then had a really high standard. I mean, even Chain of Memories was still really good. The gameplay was fun. But then, oh yeah, I should mention, Chain of Memories was a game on the Game Boy Advance, but then they remade it a few years later for the PS2, so it went from a 2D game to a 3D game, which helped a lot. But yeah,
Yeah.
Days, it was on the DS, and the problem was that the way item management, spell management, you didn't just level up and learn things. You had to level up and put your level ups on a grid, and you could stay at level 1 the whole game if you didn't put any level ups on. You can only have certain amounts. Think of it as like Final Fantasy VIII. You don't have to draw the magic, though you can buy it. Like, you don't have however much MP. You just have like 7 fires, 6 blizzards, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then the items is the same way. You all have to manage that in your panel list along with your abilities. Your abilities never stay with you. You have to make sure to equip them. And Days was really simple, it seemed. It was just really simplified. It was just attack, magic, items.
Now, keep in mind the fact that,
It was a DS game.
well, first off, yes, it was a DS game, but second off, as coded shows, it was probably the fact that this was their first kind of test with a DS.
Yeah, I will agree.
Um,
Because Coda was definitely more refined gameplay-wise than Days.
Story-wise, it was all over the place, though.
Story-wise, it didn't need to exist.
Does that mean we have to get into coded?
We will, and I'll talk more about it if I need to.
You can talk all you want about coded. My opinion on coded is that it's fried shit on a platter.
Yeah, the story of Days is taking the role of Roxas, which takes place from right near the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 to the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. And Roxas is Sora's nobody, and it talks about his interactions with the Organization 13 members. He befriends Axel, a mysterious organization member is created called Shion, and they go through how friendship is and blah 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 blah, realizing that Roxas might actually have a heart or something like that.
First line in Kingdom Hearts history coming up.
After playing about 200 generic bland missions worth of defeat the Heartless or do recon or get these treasure chests or pop the dark pimples.
Hey, but I actually like Xion's boss fight the most out of any boss fight from the Kingdom
That
Hearts.
should have been the final boss.
Xion's the final boss. We
Basically.
don't talk about their last fight.
But basically, yeah, you keep going through a whole bunch of repetitive missions, but I'll get into that later. And you get to the end, and again, the story's great. Story's great. It's great. Doesn't have voice acting, but it's still great. So don't get me misunderstood on there. I love the story. It's probably one of my favorite stories. But then, yeah, near the end of the game, Shion finds out that she's halting Sora's creation because at the end of Chain of Memories, Naminé said, "Okay, I can give you your memories back, but you'll have to sort of go into a coma so that I can perform it." Which I find to be utter BS because she managed to get rid of his memories while he was fully awake and fighting, but oh well. So yeah, that happens, and Roxas has to take out Shion, and then he goes into a rage and decides to take out the organization, or at least tries to, fights Riku, loses because Riku takes the form of Ansem, and
Well, he's aiming at first, but then all of a sudden just like, hey, I'm Ansem.
Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of story in a very small scale. I mean, well, I may be saying it's definitely a game worth buying. If you're a Kingdom Hearts fan or aren't sure, or are trying to get into the Kingdom Hearts series, don't start with Days, but I feel like if you start with Kingdom Hearts 1, play it in the order that we're saying, you'll like it. Again, it's not a bad game, it's just meh in terms of Kingdom Hearts standards. And again, it's just the problem is that a lot of the gameplay is repetitive. It's like it's either defeat this many Heartless, defeat this boss, pop all the dark pimples, basically, collect all the treasure chests, perform reconnaissance, and those are like the only mission varieties.
I mean, the thing is, some of those bosses can be really fun, though. Like, how do I put this? I had a fun time against Leechgrave, so shoot.
Oh, I hated Leechgrave.
I hated the infernal catapult thing.
That one was horrible. Yeah, the boss fights were really hard, which I did like, and also there were a lot of Keyblades. There were a lot of Keyblades, which are the main weapons of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. But the thing... What?
On the Keyblades, actually, I need to stop you there.
What, in Days?
In Days, they were a lot of reskins of each other.
There were a lot of reskins, but it actually was better than most of the other Kingdom Hearts games because each Keyblade sort of had, unless it was a reskin or an addition of a different Keyblade, they all had their own individual combo. Like some of them were better in the air, some of them were better on the ground, some of them had short damaging combos or something like that. While the rest of the games was just you have your basic combo, but you're equipping different Keyblades.
Sorry, hold on. This was actually an important message.
Oh, but yeah, in general, it's pretty. The
Chris, you
Keyblades are
died
great.
again.
What?
You died again.
Oh, oh boy. We'll talk about that later. At
One
least in a
day.
different
We'll
video.
talk about that one day. Not today.
Not today. But yeah, shall we move on to what came next? Birth by Sleep, I believe?
Uh, Birth by Sleep and Coded were released around the same time.
Birth by Sleep was a year before Coded, because Birth by Sleep or Days was when
No,
they
no,
started.
no, no, no. Recoded, yes. Coded, no. Coded was released as a mobile game.
It was a mobile game, so we're just gonna count the DS version that was re-released.
I don't know if that's how I don't know if that's how it works, Chris.
So Birth by Sleep.
Chris, I don't think you're paying attention. I don't think that's how it works.
No, because no one played the original Coded.
Yes, it did. A lot of
Who
people
played it?
did.
Huh?
Chris, just because you want to get to Birth by Sleep doesn't mean that's how it has to go.
I've never played the original Coded, so I have no knowledge towards it.
It's literally the exact same thing as the regular Coded.
How'd they manage to do that with a mobile?
They made it literally like half and half of a screen.
Oh. Hmm.
It was a horrible, 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 horrible game at that point, though, and the port is just as bad. Anyway,
No, the
yes,
port's
Birth
better.
by Sleep. I actually don't have any experience on this one.
With the few hours you played with Aqua, I mean, yeah, how would you say that was? I mean, aside from difficult.
That was my worst. That was literally the worst thing I've ever chosen. I mean, the story seems fine. The story seems great. Don't get me wrong.
The story has some faults.
Well, the entire Kingdom Hearts story has some faults. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we're going over each game as a individual, and then we're going over the whole series.
Anyway, damn fucking now.
By the way, just disclaimer, Birth by Sleep is probably my third favorite game in the series.
Disclaimer: I don't have any experience, but past 2 hours of Birth by Sleep. So I mean,
I guess we'll go over the storyline first, though, real quick, and then we'll get into the mechanics. So, 3 kids, Terra, Aqua, Ventus, and Terra and Aqua are trying to become Keyblade Masters, but then the guy's like, no, only Aqua can become a Keyblade Master. And then Master Xehanort's there, by the way. They explain, Xehanort is a guy who's trying to get darkness powers, and then Ansem is his Heartless, and then Xemnas is his Nobody. They go over that in 2. But yeah, you find Xehanort, so you know he's gonna be a villain. But then Terra's like, I'm whiny, so I'm gonna go find Xehanort. So Terra goes to find Xehanort. And then Ventus is like, I gotta go find my friends, because Xehanort's friend, Vanitas, was like, you don't have friends. He's like, I'll prove you wrong. And then he runs off. And then Aqua's like, oh, I need to find Terra and Ventus, so she runs off. And it's basically just a wild goose chase until near the end of the game, where all 3 of the characters go to the Keyblade Graveyard, and they fight Xehanort, freaking Vanitas, and Braig, which is one of the organization members' human self. And short story, all 3 of them get fucked. Because Ventus gets in a coma, which he's still not awake from. Terra's dead, and Aqua's in the realm of darkness. So my main problem is that, like, there were a lot of times where the 3 characters meet up, but not once did they ever talk about it. Like, if they talked at any point during this entire game, the game could be resolved. Like, because it's just a huge misunderstanding. Though, where the story is somewhat lacking, it makes up for it in the great gameplay. The gameplay is extremely smooth with the PSP. It has really great characters, like Terra's the tank, Ventus is I would describe as ninja, sort of, the way he moves around, and Aqua's the mage. And the way they do the system of, like, putting in inputs is the command deck, where instead of using MP, you have slots in your command deck that have to reload. So, like, you could have, say, Holy, Thundaga, sliding dash, stun impact, things like that, but they all reload after you use them. And then you can actually meld your commands to make better commands, which is extremely fun. And that'll even help you get abilities, and that's how you get abilities in that game. And it's just a lot of experimentation and fun, and that's personally my favorite way they've ever used the input system. Because Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 had a relatively bland system. Days had an even more bland system, and obviously, Chain of Memories had the card system. The command deck is, I think, really fun.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah. So on to Recoded.
Can we just skip this one?
No. John, don't
Okay.
you have that game somewhere?
I actually found it, believe it or not.
Really? You should play it.
I don't want to play it anymore.
Not as bad as you say. The gameplay's good.
It's pretty bad.
Gameplay's good.
Listen, just because of the fact... Well, here's the thing. The command deck is probably the only good part about it.
Yeah, and the only problem about the command deck is that... Wait, no. No, that wasn't the problem with... That was the problem in Dream Drop Distance. Never mind, disregard that.
No. Okay, I'm going to say my problem with it. The only problem I really had with the command deck was this. Actually, I'm sorry. The only problem I really had with the gameplay was this. It's not even a problem with the command deck. The only problem I had with the gameplay was the debug sectors.
I found them fun, sort of.
Yeah, the first time you play through one, but then you realize, hey, they're just repeating the same one over and over again.
Yeah, okay, so long story short, in this game, at the end of Chain of Memories, Naminé goes, we should, or Jiminy Cricket's like, because he's filing Sora down on Goofy, right? He's like, we need to find a way to remember to thank you, Naminé, so they put thank Naminé in the journal. And then Kingdom Hearts 2, they wake up and they're like, thank Naminé, what? And then they decide to dissect what it is in Recoded, which is just them resurrecting Sora in the journal, like the memories of him. So there's a lot of, like, it's supposed to be the Kingdom Hearts 1 plotline, but I guess datafied, which is kind of annoying because the whole problem with Recoded storyline is it doesn't need to happen. It never needed to exist. And then, so you go through the worlds with a whole bunch of bugs and errors in the system that you have to iron out. And all this, it just is meh.
I think the worst experience, though, is probably...
I don't even remember near the end of the game. I think, like, I don't know, you fight...
Here's the thing.
You fight Roxas. Roxas is the final boss, which I'm happy about.
But that fight was just so shoehorned.
Yeah, I think it was just because, okay, spoiler warning, in Kingdom Hearts 2, there's a scene where Sora fights Roxas. And then in Final Mix, it's a fight, like a boss fight. So I feel like they sort of just threw that in to appease American fans. Which I was happy about, but I mean, the game is just meh. I mean, it honestly, it controls a lot better than Days. Well, not necessarily controls, but it feels smoother. The graphics are still about the same. The gameplay, I would say, is better because it does use the command deck, which I like overall, but the problem about that is that you can still embed commands, but you don't get abilities that way. The leveling up system it's weird, in my opinion, but it's something you get used to. And you can change your difficulty on the fly, which I do like. But the problem with the command deck is that there's, like, any of the elemental sparks, or, not sparks, like, flips and stuff, where you sort of, like, cartwheel and stuff like that all around with the Keyblade. The problem with them is that they're so overpowered. I literally made a deck of only spark, flame, and ice, somersaults in the air and somersaults on the ground, because I forget the exact name of the command. It's totally unfair. It's like, no one can beat you. +1 Kiraga or something like that. Again, fun gameplay, no reason to be there at all story, and the debug sections were just sort of turned into a bleh, I guess. My problem with Code is the same as Days. It's meh. Personally, Days is my least favorite game in the series, though. I at least like how Coded played. So on to one that both of us know really well, Dream Drop Distance, the most recent game in the series.
Dream Drop Distance, what?
Dream Drop Distance, we're on that one now.
Sorry about that. I have not been paying attention for like 90% of that coded thing because I fell asleep.
John doesn't like Coded.
Not at all. Not anymore, at least. I liked it when it first came out, then I started looking at the glaring issues, and I'm like,
Actually, funny enough, I hated it when it first came out, and then I picked it up like 2 months later, and I beat it, and then I played through it again.
Alright. So then, with Dream Drop Distance, I hope you guys like retcons to your entire series, because it just basically means Kingdom Hearts 1 was completely obsolete in every way, shape, and form due to
It made the whole series obsolete.
Sort of, yeah, actually, now that I think about it. Everything except for Coded, because Coded can't be any more obsolete than it already is.
Oh yeah, they shoehorned it in saying, "Oh, well, your memories as Data Sora will help the real Sora prepare for his trials ahead."
How?
I don't know. The first thing I thought was, so you're, wait a minute, Data Sora from Kingdom Hearts 1, who didn't even fully understand the plot line because he didn't go through all of Kingdom Hearts 1, is somehow going to translate to the real Sora?
Because that's a nightmare.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just go through a quick story.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Everyone who is part of the organization wakes up. Now, this is a part that should be a red flag for anyone because that means, oh
As
shit.
humans, not as nobodies again.
Yeah, as humans. Because that means, oh shit, that means Ansem. Except it also means apparently 12 more Ansems besides the one that we thought it was going to
Just
be.
to lay over the overarching plot, because that's really important to know before you go into the
Oh,
story,
the
is
overarching plot is this. Sora, Riku, take Master Keyblade exam thing. Yeah, and then they go off into the
they go
dream
into the
world.
dream world for whatever reason, because it's not like they could have had their master exam anywhere else. And it's not
Yeah.
like Sora and Riku already proved that they're useful to keep. That's what I don't understand. Birth by Sleep in the very opening, all they have to do to prove that they're Keyblade masters is hit a whole bunch of white, like, light balls that are infused with darkness. In Yensid's way, it's sending them into the dream world and making them completely cured from the inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole point is that you find out that when you take out a Heartless and a Nobody of a person, the original person comes back.
Yeah.
So Xehanort, the whole purpose of the Organization 13 was actually to create 13 Xehanorts, like 13 perfect copies.
But
Because the way that they said, okay, the whole point of Birth by Sleep, because this is important to know, is that they wanted to create the Keyblade, or Kai Blade, because, that makes sense. And
yeah.
that would basically start another Keyblade war. But he decided to be hasty and try and fuse Ventus and Vanitas, and as you know, that didn't go well. But the real way to do it is to get 13 wielders of darkness versus 7 wielders of light. So, the darknesses they're trying to do is that the whole purpose of 13 was literally just to make 13 perfect Xehanorts. And right now, as you may know, we have Ansem, Xehanort, and Xemnas. That's 3 already. But then, you may remember that we mentioned one of the organization members, Zigbar's human form Braig. He makes 4. One of the members of the organization, Syax, makes 5. Because they're
I
trying to
don't,
turn them into Xehanorts.
I don't know what he's doing there, though. I mean, the fact is, he's supposed to be with X, so why is he doing this?
Well, no, the thing though is that the whole point of 13 also was that there was a few problems. I mean, obviously Roxas was trying to beat the crap out of him near the end. Sora succeeded in beating the crap out of them, and some of the members, the whole purpose of Chain of Memories was because the organization knew that about 5 or 6 of them were traitors, so they kicked him out and Sora killed him. So they were at a lacking amount of numbers. So they wanted to try Riku, but Riku didn't work because he got over the darkness. They tried Riku, but he didn't work either. Or not Riku, I mean Roxas, he didn't work either. And then they tried Sora, which that's the whole point. They're trying to get Sora to be one of the Xehanorts because
Spoiler alert!
this has
It
been the whole
doesn't
video.
work!
This has been the whole video. Whole point though, in short, is that Kingdom Hearts 1 is completely useless because you took out Ansem, but he's back. Kingdom Hearts 2 is completely useless because you took out the Organization 13, they're back. Basically everything's useless. But the whole point is that Xehanort, I don't know how Xehanort did this, because it's still barely explained, but Xehanort old guy, or Xehanort young guy, decides that I'm going to take out part of my soul, or no, it's Xehanort old guy. It sort of creates a time paradox. Xehanort old guy takes part of his soul, as he's dying, and sends it to a younger version of him, so that he can remember it. But if that's the case, how would he have known, or why would he send another message? It's like a time loop, because if he sent part of his spirit to young Xehanort, then Xehanort in the past should have known it because he saw old Xehanort's spirit, but that's a whole issue on itself. Point is, he goes through this whole contrived notion of getting Maleficent to get the 7 Princesses of Heart, which is a big point in Kingdom Hearts 1, make sure he stays alive in, like, Bep, and then as a whole, young Xehanort is traveling through time, and he's interfering with the dream world. So that makes, I think, 6 Xehanort, or 6, 13, or 6 out of the 13? Yes, 6. And by the end, they do have 13. Or no, they have 12, because the whole point is that they're trying to make Sora the 13th, but it doesn't work because Riku's cool. And at the end of the game, basically, Riku becomes a Keyblade Master, and you find out the 7 Keyblade wielders of light are going to be Sora, Riku, Kairi, Mickey, the human version of Axel, Lee, and it's implied that Ventus is going to wake up from his coma and Aqua is going to be found.
I'm gonna laugh when it's not even meant. It's all of a sudden you're just gonna see Terra like, "Hi guys, I'm alive again."
But yeah, the thing about it, yeah, it's really hard to explain because it goes so in depth with it. But the whole point of Dream Drop Distance just basically says, we're segueing into 3, but everything you knew about this entire franchise was wrong.
Yeah.
But in terms of gameplay, I think the game really shined. It introduced flow motion, which, while it was a bit game-breaking with the fact that you could literally just basically wall jump one wall over and over, which completely got rid of the use of some of the bigger rooms, it was definitely fun to explore. There was a lot of exploration, and you could play as both Sora and Riku. It was really nice. But, again, it got really cheap that you could go places you weren't supposed to go or completely avoid all the monsters in the game. Battle-wise, it's basically the exact same as Birth by Sleep with the command deck, but the problem is that you can only see 2 of your commands at once, which, as minor a complaint as that sounds, it's actually pretty annoying.
Especially against Julius.
Yeah. By the way, Balloon is overpowered. If you ever want to play Dream Drop Distance, Balloon is OP. Use Balloon.
Actually, the more overpowered one is Balloon Rock.
Yeah.
Or
Balloons, man.
Balloon one or Balloon Grow or whatever it is. All of a sudden, just giant cluster of balloons. I'm gonna just scatter these everywhere. Oh.
Yeah, the enemies of the game I didn't really like. They're Dream Eaters because you're in the Dream World and you're trying to like unlock the 7 keyholes on both sides to make the worlds pure. But they had to shoehorn a gimmick in. Sora and Riku have a thing called the drop gauge, where if one reaches 0, you have to switch over to the other character, which can be very annoying if you're in the middle of a boss fight and you do that.
I'm about to beat Gigamantis. Never mind.
Now,
Starts you right at the
I will
start.
say, the worlds, for a 3DS game, the worlds are some of the biggest in the franchise. And they are fun to explore, again, with flow motion, and they chose a very diverse lineup. I mean, think about it this way. You have all your basic things, like in the other Kingdom Hearts games. Like, if you think of a Disney movie, it's more than likely in one of the first 2 Kingdom Hearts movies, or games. With Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, you generally don't think Hunchback of Notre Dame, or Tron Legacy, or Pinocchio, like the movie Pinocchio, or Fantasia, or The Three Musketeers. Those aren't things you think of immediately.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah?
What about your opinions on the new world that never was?
I'm more so salty that they lost the old theme. I loved the old theme.
I like the new scene better.
Okay, so by the way, it sort of goes off the deep end with Final Fantasy references and references The World Ends With You, which is admittedly pretty nice. I like the change of pace. Traverse Town has also got its nice little jazzy thing going on with it to fit with The World Ends With You. And again, it's definitely a fun game, and the bosses are some of the best in the series. Fighting Rinsler, it really challenges you, because he's one of the bosses in the Tron world, where instead of teaches you of using your command deck to your advantage, it's block, counter, find an opening, which is really, really cool. The bosses in that game are great. They are some of the best in the entire series.
And then you get to Spellikin, and you're just like, never mind.
Yeah, again, Dream Drop Distance is one of those games where you are some of the best things in the series and some of the most bleh, like Spellican. And again, The World That Never Was, which was the final world of Kingdom Hearts 2, it got a new theme, which makes me sad because they referenced the old theme. And my problem also was that it was really hard to level up appropriately because there was like no level you should be at any point in the game because it generally was easy until you got to the end where if you weren't prepared for certain fights, you were dead. Like the Xemnas fight, if you didn't know how to appropriately do it, you would die. If you didn't know how to appropriately approach the Ansem fight near the end of the game, you'd be dead. And yeah, some of the endgame bosses are too hard, and there's like 7 final bosses. It goes on really long. I mean, with Riku, you have the Nightmare boss, then you have to fight Ansem, then you have to fight Ansem again, then you're forced to fight Xemnas with Sora, or vice versa, depending on which storyline you finish first. Then you have to fight Young Zane, or then you have to fight him again because of his time gimmick. Then you fight the Ventus Armored Nightmare. It just sort of went on too long.
I feel like we're leaving out one of the most important dick bosses in that game, though.
Julius.
No, the anti-black coat nightmare.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. The Nightmare boss.
The anti-black coat nightmare. Just that black and red coat. It's like, huh? What are you doing here?
Yeah, the also problem is he can steal your HP.
Yep, he likes to kick you in the dick.
Also known as if just take the thing about the final bosses is if you have like a deck of balloons and cure or like balloon resin cure, you're good. But if you don't want to just spam the game completely, then you're screwed because like the anti-black coat nightmare, seriously, just balloon over and over, over and over. Also, you want to get away from his instant death attack because well, no, it brings you down to 1 HP and then more than likely he'll combo you.
Yep.
Also, it has one of the hardest / easiest secret bosses in the series, depending on how you look at it. The Dream of Distance definitely good. I would say it's my 4th favorite game. So now that we finished Kingdom Hearts each game, how about we go on our opinions of the entire series?
Honestly, the entire series was something strong at first. I feel like it's become a little convoluted, but I feel like they're going to find a way to wrap it up all in the 3rd game.
Yeah, they have announced Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the last game in the Xehanort Saga. It won't get rid of Sora, but the Xehanort Saga, which is the one we're in now, is super contrived, and hopefully they're going to wrap that up very nicely. And hopefully they don't pull one of those, oh, Xehanort's spirit is still in the air.
Oh, they probably will. It's Sephiroth, I think.
Yeah, by the way, Sephiroth is a secret boss in 1 and 2, and that's pretty fun.
Oh, by the way, I have this feeling that all of a sudden it's just going to be like, oh no, the Xehanort just fell into the Genova stream. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. John, I kind of interrupted you. What were you going to say about how it convoluted and stuff?
Alright. I didn't even feel like Kingdom Hearts 2 was convoluted. I felt Chain of Memories was a little convoluted, but I didn't feel like 2 was convoluted, and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey look, Dream Drop Distance. Where'd all these plot holes come from?
I think I say Kingdom Hearts 2 is convoluted in comparison to 1 and Chain of Memories, but when the series...
1 is your favorite, so yeah.
No, but 1 just has a simpler storyline as a whole. But I think where the series as a whole got really convoluted was Birth by Sleep.
Funny enough, it's your 3rd favorite game.
It is. Yeah, I'd say my opinion of the series is that my favorite game is 1, my second favorite game is 2, 3rd is Birth by Sleep, 4th is Dream Drop Distance, 5th is Chain of Memories, which, by the way, the 3 of Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, and that are all really close together. And then Recoded is really far down, and then Days is just under it, because I'd rather play a boring, or I'd rather play a somewhat enjoyable bad game than a boring game, because that's what Days was, just boring.
I'd rather play the boring game than the undeniably bad game.
As a whole, though, I mean, series is great. I mean, it has its ups and downs, and it has a lot of haters, but I personally believe that Kingdom Hearts 1 is the best game, but it's very well-rounded. Kingdom Hearts 2 is very well-rounded. Dream Drop Distance, Birth by Sleep, Chain of Memories, they're all well-rounded games, and they could be fun for a lot of people. DS games, if you're one of those people who's trying to get into the series and have a PS3, they're releasing remixes, 1.5 and 2.5. 1.5 made Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, which you cannot get anywhere else. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and the cutscenes of Days all in one package for $40. And then in December of this year, they are releasing 2 Final Mix, Birth by Sleep Final Mix, and the cutscenes of Coded all in one package. So I would say if you have a PS3, definitely grab them if you're trying to get into the series. It's a great way in. And then the only other game you'd be missing would be Dream Drop Distance. Which really is pretty important, but...
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, as a whole, I think the series is great. It's definitely... The characters are really good, except for Sora, which ironically is the main character. He sort of gets weak after a while. Weak in terms of personality, with so many other great characters like Riku, Roxas, and stuff like that. The combat is always fun throughout the entire series. The series always has a high presentation value. The areas are always, whether they're big or small, they're always packed. It's always, you never really are going to get lost, except for a few instances. I would say the storyline of the games, yeah, they're convoluted, but there are a lot of really good emotional moments at any game of the series, especially 2. Where else can I hit? Again, the graphics, they're great for their time, or the system they're on.
Yep.
Especially, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, it looks way better in 3D. Then again, that applies to all 3DS games.
Yep.
So as a whole, I think the series is great. I love it. It's my favorite franchise of all time.
Anyway, well, I suppose we should probably close this up.
Yeah.
I don't really. My opinions have already been made clear about the games.
We sort of said that it was convoluted.
Well, no, what I more meant was, as I was saying the game, I kind of made my opinion clear. But if I need to make it clear again, 2 is my favorite, just overall. Then probably Chain of Memories for the story.
One's probably gonna technically. One and Birth by Sleep are probably gonna be at the end of his list since he hasn't played them.
You got that right. 358. Dream Drop Distance, Coded. Then
One and Birth by Sleep are just disqualified at this point.
Yeah,
Then again,
basically.
that will change because John is going to be picking up a PS3 for 2.5, so more than likely he's going to grab 1.5.
Chris,
meaning-
don't make promises I can't keep.
You're recording 2. You're recording 2 Final Mix for the channel.
I said don't make promises I can't keep.
Sean, you said you would take.
I said don't make promises I can't keep on this video.
Okay, on this video,
Or any of
I'm
the
going to record 2 Final Mix.
He's making a promise I can't keep. Anyway, guys, whatever. I don't care about what Chris has to say from this. This is John, and that's Chris. Bye.
Okay.